I've seen people with sepsis. I've seen people with big areas of necrotic, dead skin, both on their tummy and their breasts, implants exposed, breast implants almost falling out, blood clots that have gone from their legs to their lungs, and these can be really life-threatening.
It's the tourist destination with a buoyant trade in teeth, tummy tucks and Brazilian bum lifts. Every year, thousands of Brits head for cut-price cosmetic surgery in Turkey with plans of recovering in the sunshine. But the trade has a darker side. At least 28 Brits have lost their lives at the hands of Turkish surgeons. Hundreds more have been left hospitalised on their return home, and others left permanently disfigured. And now medics are even flying to the UK to tout for business. I went undercover as a potential patient to expose what happens at a Brazilian bum lift consultation. And what I went through was shocking.
Nobody died from a BBL or something like that, it's just such a mess.
It's estimated 150,000 Brits travel to Turkey each year for cut-price aesthetic treatments and weight loss ops. And medical tourism boosts the Turkish economy to the tune of £2 billion a year. But the cut-price surgeries sometimes come with a risk that outweighs the cheaper price tag.
Oh, I've seen quite a lot of complications and some very bad ones. I've seen people end up on intensive care units with pulmonary emboli, so blockages in the blood vessels around the lungs that is life-threatening. I've seen people with huge swathes of abdomen and breast necrotic and dead. I've seen people with sepsis.
Mark Pacifico is the president of the British Association of Aesthetic Plastic Surgeons. He says that convincing Brits of the risk they may be taking overseas is an uphill struggle.
It's proving to be a real challenge to get people to wake up and recognise the risks. The impacts on patients coming back from having cosmetic surgery abroad and having complications is, I think, physical, but also emotional and psychological. The physical complications speak for themselves because of the further treatment, maybe operations, hospital admissions they need to have. And the psychological components are quite profound because there's a lot of mixed emotion. There's a lot of guilt, embarrassment, anger. There are financial consequences. Maybe they can't work for several months. Maybe they lose their job as a result. They may not have the funds to pay for the surgery that's required in the future to put it right. So there's a huge amount of stress that these patients unfortunately carry over and above just getting through the physical aspects of their complication.
Top of the list of risky surgeries is the BBL, or Brazilian bum lift, which the American Society of Plastic Surgeons say is the cosmetic operation most likely to be fatal. It's a popular procedure that has claimed the lives of 7 British women in Turkey alone.
The danger and the risk with Brazilian butt lift surgery, which is on the butt, but it's not a lift, it's a fat grafting operation where liposuction is performed elsewhere on the body and injected into the buttock. The safety really depends on the technique used. So with very modern contemporary techniques where we would guide our surgeons to only do this if they're using, for example, ultrasound in the operating theatre, so actually able to visualise and see inside the buttock where their instruments are going, then actually it's a relatively safe procedure. The danger happens when the procedure is done totally blind and you can't detect where the end of that instrument is, and that's where the deaths happen because the fat becomes injected into the buttock muscle, and when it's injected into the buttock muscle, particularly if it damages the deeper veins, then the fat can travel up through the blood vessels and get lodged in the lung, a pulmonary embolus or a fat embolus, and that can result in death. So the worry is that many surgeons and facilities in which these cases are being done elsewhere are not doing these in the recommended fashion.
Despite the risk, the demand for the operation is sky high. To make the most of the UK cash cow, Turkish surgeons are flying to Britain to give what they call in-person medical consultations. The monthly visits seem to be exploiting loopholes in our law and allowing sales professionals to offer special deals to potential clients who visit the roadshows. Ecole International Hospitals is one of several companies offering these in-person pre-surgery consultations. After seeing them advertised online, I headed to one in February. The clinics run from 9 AM to 6 PM, and with half-an-hour consultations, the doctors can see up to 18 patients each. With each visit having 3 doctors, up to 54 Brits could sign up to head abroad each day. I was booked for a Brazilian bum lift consultation, one of the most dangerous surgeries on offer, which has a 10 times higher mortality rate than any other cosmetic operation, according to the NHS. My appointment was held in a hotel conference room, where I would be examined by Dr. Serkan Süleyman Aslan. The orders didn't come directly from the medic, who the hospital claimed had a good command of English, but from a translator. After standing next to him semi-clothed, he suddenly pulled my knickers down without warning, leaving me feeling immensely uncomfortable. He then proceeded to feel my buttock cheeks and lower back before asking, via translator, if I wanted the injection BBL or the implants.
Implant.
Okay, so if you want something permanent, implant is a solution. But if you are looking for,
Çünkü yağ enjeksiyonunda şey olacak,
%60.
2 yıl içerisinde %60 kadar eriyecek.
But in the fat transfer, the problem is in 2 years, the 60% of this fat is going to dissolve.
Okay, so the implant would be better?
Like implants will be better, like it's permanent.
İmplant için insizyonumuz bu arada olacak. Burada.
The incision area is going to be just between the...
Burada. Tamam. Ondan sonra kas arasına koyuyoruz implantı.
And we are putting the implants between the muscles.
Okay.
Okay. Tamam. Okay.
Yeah.
Despite my asking, not once during the consultation were the common risks associated with the surgery mentioned. When I asked about the well-documented deaths, this is what I was told.
I really want one, but I'm a bit nervous because you read stories about people going and having them and dying. Is that...
Nobody died from a BBL or something like that, it's just such a mess.
Yeah,
So,
I just wanted to ask because obviously it's
we
like
don't have any problems like that, like nobody died in our hospital.
The translator went on to correct herself and admitted a gastric bypass patient had died following surgery at Ecole. She claimed they hadn't disclosed an underlying medical condition.
I just know one patient, it was in 2020, and if you can search it on Google, you can also say, I'm not going to lie about anything, it's the gastric sleeve patient, and she has a health condition, and they didn't tell that to us, and that's why it's happened.
It was 26-year-old Kalisha Ashamu, who died following complications after 2 surgeries at the hospital in 2019. A coroner's court found she died from a cardiac arrest as a result of surgical complications, and that there was no evidence that she had failed to disclose any health conditions. A UK post-mortem found a kilo of blood in her stomach that could not be explained, and parts of her bowel dead. Straight after my appointment, I was taken to one of the sales representatives who offered me a special discount for attending a consultation. The standard price is €5,800 for the procedure, including your flight tickets, transfers, hospital stay, time in the hotel, as well as all the tests. A representative offered it to me for €5,400, or £5,000 they claimed. But I could only secure that price if I put down a £200 deposit there and then. Just 48 hours later, I received a follow-up text, and when I said I hadn't made a decision, I was offered an additional £200 discount, bringing the price down to $5,200 all-inclusive.
All surgery carries risk, and one of the things we should be very proud of in the UK is the fact that our safety profile is actually very good. So we have a lot of regulation in place, regulation for doctors, surgeons, regulation for hospitals and clinics, and that costs a lot of money. And it costs a lot of money to maintain those standards and to demonstrate we're adhering to those standards. And that's why the cost of healthcare in the UK is that much higher than in certain other countries, such as Turkey. And one has to, I think, question why it might be so inexpensive in certain clinics in certain countries.
It's not just individual patients that can suffer, but the UK health system as a whole.
I think there is this mindset, I think both perhaps with the surgeons but also the patients, that the NHS is there, and that's a real worry because the NHS is not designed for cosmetic tourism complications, and what you're having is bed blocking effectively by some of the patients that needn't be there, that if they were having the surgery in the UK they'd be looked after within the private facilities in which they had their surgery for most of their cases. And it is effectively preventing UK patients who need the NHS for different reasons from getting treated.